Before I begin this review, I have to make a disclaimer. The game I'm reviewing today is filled to the brim with drug use, violence including torture, light sexual themes, and offensive humor. And while I think these very things are what gives the game its insane character, if any of that isn't something you want to hear about or engage in, I completely understand, and I have plenty of other reviews on the channel that might interest you. Now, if you're still here, I want you to close your eyes for a second and imagine a scenario for me. You sit on a ripped up old leather couch, surrounded by empty cartons of takeout. It's the middle of July. Your clothes are damp from sweat and your window AC can barely combat the heat and humidity radiating in from outside. You can hear scratching as roaches scurry across the floor. But none of this matters to you. You gave up giving a shit a long time ago. All you care about now is making money and getting your fix. Welcome to Darby County, Florida. Hi, I'm your host Z-Man, and welcome to The Stash. Today we'll be talking spoiler-free about Stef, Pinto, and Penguin Games' dark action-adventure game, Cookies. Oh man, this game is absolutely bonkers. It's the thruple love child of dark comedy, horror, and straight-up depravity. Described as an obscene PSX-coded blend of satanic cults, meth-dealing clowns, and online torture chambers all under the same backwards-ass roof. At this point, you may think you're starting to get an idea of this game, and while some of you might have come to the conclusion that a game that bases its sole identity on shock value is probably trash, you'd actually be wrong. This game backs up its well-executed gonzo aesthetic with fun gameplay, witty film references, and a surprisingly addicting gameplay loop that has you chasing down narratives all over the optimistically named Orange Grove houses. We play as an unnamed dealer living in what can only be described as the worst flophouse you've never stepped foot in. The halls are littered with trash and rodents. The depraved occupants are eccentric to say the least and feel like they have emerged from a drug-induced fever dream. You'll meet cult leaders, Russian mobsters, rodent royalty, a literal god, and a hand in a box. In fact, at times I was left questioning if some of them were even real at all. In terms of goal and narrative, it mostly falls on the player to be proactive in finding ways to either make a living or literally stay alive. The building itself has 4 floors, with around 14 rooms per level, most of which contain either a tenant needing help or a situation in which you become entrenched and subsequently run around the building, completing tasks in almost always the worst case scenario. Imagine this game like a really grimy, horror-based Grand Theft Auto set inside an apartment building. There isn't much of an overarching plot, but rather 10 smaller threads, as they're called, that act as a constantly building intertwined narrative, which I actually really found quite addictive. I'd stumble upon some ridiculous tenant, they'd give me a task, I'd complete it, and be back in my apartment with new unlocked doors, items that I'd been looking for, or clues as to my next adventure. The controls are FPS-based with an inventory for the many questionable items you'll acquire, both of which are admittedly a little clunky at times, but not enough to overshadow my immersion. Your health has no discernible bar other than the blood graphic that increases as you get closer to death. The music is for the most part a droning ambiance throughout the building that definitely sets a dark, foreboding tone, but becomes a little boring after you've been playing a long time. However, it does get broken up by some fun tracks in each side quest with the occasional ridiculous boss fight. Seriously, we don't do spoilers here on The Stash, but these boss fights were hilarious. What I like most about the game is its commitment to keeping things really dark, but also not taking itself seriously at all. It has some very grim moments, but also equally as many moments that had me actually laughing. Observant players will notice film references everywhere, from popular horror flicks like The Witch to more obscure films like Ichi the Killer. So often our protagonist is someone we relate to, or at least want to. In this game, I actually found it really fun to just play as some ridiculously lucky scumbag. The player isn't supposed to envy this character's life at all, but it's sure fun to watch all the chaos ensue. And with some really unique sequences, like the hunt for an assassin via thermal vision goggles, for instance, this game really takes some chances just not seen in other titles of this size. So consider this your warning. This game is insane. It's violent, darkly comical, very fun, and also very likely to offend you, but in a genre that often takes itself very seriously. This game scratches an itch I can't quite describe. Or maybe it's just something I caught in the halls of the Orange Grove houses. Either way, give Cookies a try. I promise, you'll be in for a wild ride. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed yourself, please consider subscribing to the channel. We put out new reviews every Friday. And if you'd like to come hang with me and watch me play some of these spooky games, head on over to twitch.tv/zmanstache. Z-Man, S-T-A-C-H-E. Stay spooky, and I'll see you soon.